What's going on with us? Sorry. Okay, it's a feel good Friday and it is freshly pressed time on Smooth Breakfast. I'm shocked by Martin.
And I'm Victor Pepple. We're here with you till 8 o'clock, bringing you all the big stories this Friday morning. Right? You can be part of the show, sending messages in on WhatsApp 0809
Yes, and we're also streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can catch up with us on the live stream and leave your comments as well as we go through the articles we've got up for you today.
Twitter as
And
well.
you can also tweet at us at smooth981FM. Find us, tweet at us, let us know what you think about these stories. Joining us for the next half hour, we have got Tunde Okufi. Always a pleasure to have him in on a Friday morning. Good morning, Tunde.
Morning, Shopwell. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Lagos.
Welcome today.
All right, so let's get straight into the stories. Now, we've all been, despite the fact that the currency that we have in Nigeria is the naira, a lot of focus is put on the dollar because we know what happens and we know what we need. From the Nation newspaper, CBN makes new plans to fix forex crisis, with the CBN governor saying that the apex bank is looking beyond monetary policies, and there are a few strategies that have been put in place. One of which he hinted at yesterday, or which he talked about yesterday actually at the maiden biannual non-oil export summit in Lagos. Godwin Emefiele said that talked about the RT200 FX program, which is an initiative of the Bankers Committee aimed at raising $200 billion in non-oil export earnings over the next 3 to 5 years. Now, this is not the first time we've heard of the RT200 FX program, but yeah, this seems to be the new savior that's going to help the naira get back to, or help more liquidity when it comes to forex.
Yeah,
What's about this?
and look, we all feel the pinch of our FX or our dollar liquidity issues. There's even, I mean, look, with the strengthening, and we might even expect it to get worse because with the strengthening of the dollar, I this personal to me, I feel that there probably still be further devaluation down the line. But what's the central bank governor saying here? What Emefiele is saying here is common sense. You know, monetary policy alone, which is all your and monetary policy, all the rules around. Okay, one trying to hold, the exchange at a particular rate, having multiple exchange rates for different purposes, and all the other interesting things that we have done to try to maintain, stating the things that you can use FX for, the things that you can't use FX for, the things that the central bank will help provide FX for, and things that as a business or a financial institution, you need to source FX by yourself. So now all of those things fall on the monetary policy side. But what, and we do love acronyms, right? RT 200, right? Okay, so essentially what this is saying is, look, we want to earn more FX, and it's logical. We simply don't earn enough of it anyway, right? I think all our exports, from the latest data, I think that's probably 2019 2020 data, is that all our export earnings is around 38 billion USD, and that includes oil. Compare that to fast growing nations like Vietnam, and it's 300 billion, right? So this is trying to level up in a sense, and they're trying to do it in the space of, what I found interesting that they said in the space of 3 to 5 years. So over that period of time, I was wondering if they'll be as bold to say, oh, we won't start earning this annually, yeah, like
Well,
the
this amount,
Vietnam,
that's what
like
I'm.
like the Vietnam example I gave. There's no way to jumpstart from where we are near zero to those kind of figures annually. If can we do it over 5 years? It would be a huge stretch. And look, what are they saying? So they're saying that in essence that they're going to invest in, provide concessionary rates and provide FX for value adding exports. So say for instance, instead of just exporting cocoa, process and exports, anything else that we export today that we don't add any value to, instead of just the raw material, just add a little value and sometimes the price quadruples.
Now, Tunde, even as you say, 3 to 5 years, that being rather short,
Hmm.
a rather short term to pull this off.
Mm.
Even if that were to be the case and it could happen, that's still 3 to 5 years from now.
Hmm.
And right now, we're dealing with quite a bit of a crisis. So, for regarding immediate solutions or at least immediate plugs, what do you make of this school of thought that actually get rid of parallel rates and let's have one steady rate
There's,
that everybody can hold on to?
there's no immediate fix on the plug. Those are all the monetary policy things that he's saying, and that's why he's admitting, look, can't fix the
Mm.
problem. And so many different things have been said or are said for, okay, should we have one single rate? To be honest, I'm actually, with concerning our situation, actually don't think it is. Seems odd, but it's not odd actually. I don't think it's probably feasible, right, to have one single rate, because if we had one single rate, then where would it be? Would it be tilting towards what the real value should be, and what the market
I'm
sort of
guessing that
determines
would
it
be
should be,
the
or the
direction.
concessionary rates that the government tries to hold it as? And those concession, and remember, the more concessionary the rate is, the more the government has to spend to defend it. Money that should go towards maybe infrastructure,
So
go towards
let's
a
say
bunch
the
of
first
things.
option,
Mm.
which seems more realistic.
And then in the first option, then it then becomes difficult to invest in and or spur growth in specific sectors, which is what it is that they've tried to do, and have a rate for the import exports, especially export now
But
with this program, and an emphasis
but
on
in
concessionary rates
other
for.
sectors, investors saying, "Hold on one second. If my money is really worth this, why would I be accepting this other rate, concessionary as it might be?"
No, it's how do I say this? It's more on the it's this is on the production side, right? So.
All right. Now, from the CBN making plans to fix forex in 5 years, the crisis we're experiencing. Let's go over to the Punch newspaper, where President Buhari is saying we will deal with those profiting from Nigeria's insecurity. Now, just a peep into the story, the president yesterday in Kano said his government would deal with those profiting from the climate of fear and rampant insecurity nationwide. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garuba Shehu, disclosed these in a statement yesterday titled, "We've made impact on security, economy, corruption," says President Buhari, urging police to deploy more technology.
Mm.
Just one more before we discuss. He was given a security report, situation report of the fight against insecurity. The president said that Boko Haram insurgency, indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Eastern Security Network ESN, and banditry in some parts of the nation had been significantly degraded, and relative normalcy had returned to most towns and villages. Tunde, how true is all of this? Well, to Mr. President, normalcy will return soon. He has done
well,
very well
well,
so far, so good.
We're all Nigerians. We all live here. We all see the headlines. We all know, how safe we feel, walking the streets, or, going about. And that's just insecurity within cities, not to talk of, the kind of insecurity that we're, insurgency, and all sorts of other things, and banditry, that's happening in large parts of the country that is quite frankly ungovernable. The truth is, this is my take. Election season has kicked in full, and it seems we from now on we'll be hearing a lot more from the president. For a moment, I thought it was he gave the address himself, but then okay, alas, it's more of the same. He's speaking through um, one of his
Garba
proxies,
Shehu.
yeah, and they're just making all the right sounds. This is what we're in the final stretch of an 8-year tenure that was supposed to have delivered these things, at the beginning. So it's again, it's one of those cases where you say, look, this is the presidency, scoring himself and saying he's done pretty well. But I think the job is for the populace to see, if they feel the impact, and if really and truly, look, there was an attack on the government itself, even if I would say, under questionable methods. The government itself says it's the work of ISWAP, right, which is ISIS in West Africa,
Mm.
right? Even they themselves have said that, and they did an attack in the south for the first time. Isn't that an indication of an increase in scope, span, and or capability?
I know they
Right.
give Mr.
So
President security reports weekly at least. What reports do they give to Mr. President exactly? Because I believe, based on the reports given to Mr. President, he can boldly say normalcy is returning and we've degraded Boko Haram as well as IPOB across Nigeria.
Victor, what you just highlighted is what so many so many of us or so many people feel that those in office and power are very often shielded from the reality by those who are closest to them. So clearly there is some sort of parallel. There's a parallel Nigeria that some of them are aware of that the citizenry aren't quite feeling.
All right, we already have your messages coming in. Nedu says floating the exchange rate is the way to go. An exchange rate is, first of all, a key performance indicator of the performance of our economy. To influence it is to deceive ourselves about our performance. While Yinka Bolu says, today, if we eliminate multiple exchange rates, where do you think the true value of the naira to the dollar will rest? The black market rate, which I'm definitely sure is where it is due to speculation, puts in question marks everywhere. And Ade from Solo says, RT200, achieving this 200 billion naira in 5 years will be a mirage if the government doesn't fix the port congestion issue and if the exporters don't increase their level of sincerity and honesty. Value addition is not easy. Using Tunde's example of cocoa, when your yield is low and your cocoa trees are almost 100 years old and the new ones are not being planted, you can't get enough required for economically viable value addition. Ooh,
Hmm.
that's a bit of a tongue twister. Oh, got it. All
Uh,
right. And yes, we got this one in from Jerry. Jerry.
Jerry sends a message. Jerry says, truly, they've made a great negative impact, spreading the insecurity all over the country, which was only in the section before their takeover. We've made impacts. That's why we couldn't travel by road from Sokoto to Adamawa. That's Jerry's take on this discussion.
And that's a word from the streets, not some statesman.
Don't worry, we've got that $200 billion coming. 3 to 5 years, people. I got this one in. Ozzy says, why do we peddle delusional propaganda as the truth? Are we in the same country? I'm done with this. We, the people, see the truth. After the Ondo attack, the government still says that there's normalcy. Please, let's stop giving excuses that those in power don't get the true picture. They know, they just don't care, period. That's what Ozzy says. Whilst Ken says, President Buhari's statements, is it for Nigerians of diaspora? Because I'm in Nigeria and I know how safe I feel, even in Lagos. All right, so let's take a look at our next article, which comes in from the Guardian newspaper. Troops neutralize 47 terrorists, rescue Chibok girl. Now, this is troops of Operation Hadin Kai. In the last 2 weeks, eliminated no fewer than 47 terrorists, and in the process of that, rescued one of the schoolgirls who had been abducted in 2014 in Chibok in Borno, and that's Mary Dowda. Tunde, this is good news, fantastic news, wouldn't you say?
It is fantastic news. If it's fantastic news, right? No doubt. Yeah, I do have issues with it, and I'll probably go in on the issues. But if
Okay.
you take it, face value, surface level, it is fantastic news. And guess what? Expect, the citizenry should expect to hear a lot more of these type of stories leading up to 2023. Like I said, election season and positioning and posturing is well into full swing. Now, the main issues that I have though are again just in the same way they had said, okay, the under attack was carried out by ISWAP is it's very difficult to independently verify and validate, right? Mary has been, one of Mary Dowd, one of the names has been, circled as one of the, last outstanding or remaining, one of the, prominent Chibok girls. And anyway, they're all important and prominent, but one of the Chibok girls that hasn't been returned since 2014. Is anyone able to actually validate that, whoever it is that has been, returned now is Mary Dowda? Um, I would like to see someone actually even some investigative journalism or some journalism actually go into some of these claims that are made, because it's very easy to come out and make proclamations, to be honest, today's media, it's hard to tell, right? What is um,
Wait, are you calling into question the legitimacy of the
the,
information that was
uh,
provided to us by the army?
I'm just, look. I'm saying there's no way for me to tell. Yeah, and if you, and you can say if the idea of me even calling into question means that there's a trust deficit, and that's not on me. It's not my fault that there's a trust deficit, right? But there is. Why is it now that people are beginning to think of who do they want to lead them, in the future, that suddenly we're hearing all these, you know, nice stories. Why now? And I expect to hear a whole lot more of them. But like I said, on the surface, it is good. It's fantastic. I hope Mary has indeed um, been rescued. She was kidnapped and abducted as a girl. She's indeed, and she's a woman by now. And all those years of captivity are hopefully behind her. And so all the remaining surviving ones too. Hopefully we can find them and return them home. But
Just Mary, but her child.
yeah,
Now,
Mary and her
okay,
child. Yeah.
seriously.
All right, let's talk 2023 elections. Atiku announces Okoa as running mate in from Premium Times. The candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday announced the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okoa, as his running mate. Atiku made the announcement at the PDP headquarters in Abuja. The Premium Times had reported that Abubakar was set to announce Okoa as his running mate. Tunde, just 2 days ago, there were news flying around that it would be the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. In fact, we even had that conversation here in this studio,
Mm.
to the surprise of many people, and to those who were not even surprised. The governor of Delta State was picked yesterday.
Yeah. Look, it also depends on where you get where you get your news as to whether it surprising or not. Because I've seen a couple clips, where Wiki had vehemently said there's no way he was going to accept the
Those were
position of.
clips before the
Okay,
elections.
I know, but you
Yeah,
know what
so
it is now,
he
right?
inwardly said
It
other
was,
things.
you get what I mean. But politics is politics,
Hmm.
and things can change on a sixpence. Um, but I can't say I was shocked, or I expressed maybe shock. Uh, Wiki is a polarizing, individual, and you don't even need to be in a circle or close to him, or that. So I'm sure his colleagues will probably, and his colleagues in this instance are, his colleagues within his party, politicians. In as much as Atiku says, oh, he wants someone who is outspoken and will speak his mind and all of that, maybe he would have had concerns about Wiki being the vice president. Considering we don't need to go into his very expressive and boisterous nature. I think overall, if I'm looking at I think it is a strategically a good pick. Um, so we'll see. Good on them. I mean, the way this has worked
Okay,
as
quickly.
PG picks and then APC does them. So let's see what APC comes
Still
with.
talking 2023 elections. Let's bring Father Mbaka into the conversation. This in from Daily Post.
Mm.
Stingy man. Catholic Church reacts. Disowns Father Mbaka for attacking Peter Obi. Now, the Catholic Diocese of Enugu has condemned and dissociated itself from inflammatory political utterances by Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka, the director of Catholic Adoration Ministry Chaplaincy in Enugu. Recall that Mbaka had on Wednesday described Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi as a stingy man, declaring that unless God ceases to exist, Obi would never smell the seat of the president.
Yeah, and as they should call him out on this question, because it is inflammatory, and it's not what you. Okay, so I'm one that believes that um, men of faith, religious leaders, have in fact an active role in engaging the populace to participate in choosing and electing their leaders, and encouraging them to exercise their civic
Hmm.
duty and responsibility.
Because be you Muslim traditionalist, Buddhist, atheist, you can still recognize
Yeah,
that here in Nigeria, these men of faith have
yeah,
influence.
yeah, yeah. Significant
Huge.
influence. I mean, and if you look at you, through the history of any nation, it is. I mean, in more mature nations, obviously they eventually arrive at a place where there's more separation between state and and faith. But if look at maybe the democracy that we try to model ourselves against the US, for instance, heavily influenced by faith, in terms of Yeah,
Oh, heavily. That's why
heavily
you see
influenced.
presidential
Yeah.
aspirants going to
Oh,
certain churches,
they take the, they do the whole route. So,
getting reverends who
hmm
will then be able to endorse them, so
literally lay
that,
hands on them.
yeah, so
So,
that then the people such as, oh, I don't know, African Americans, and I'm like, okay, so Reverend
he's
Jackson
the
has
one.
said this, and
Absolutely.
so we'll look at him now.
Because it is a key component of human, psychology. So, look, they need to be actively involved,
Mm-hmm.
but making statements like this cross the line in a sense, like making pronouncements on a particular candidate. It's not what you should use the pulpit for. Now, obviously, he can hold his own personal views and maybe speak to people, personally within his circles. But I think to get on the pulpit and make it's just not there's no other
Well,
way to say it. It's
this has
just probably
generated a lot of
it's not the right
outcry
thing to do.
online and on social media,
Sure.
really. And people are now bringing up the conversation again. Should religious leaders be involved in
They
politics?
should be 100%. But always see that's the thing is you can't always you have the right rules in place when people step out of line, correct them. Don't legislate everything and say religious. No, that doesn't make sense. Faith is part of life. Politics is life. The religious and faith leaders need to be actively involved and encouraging the people to participate. So really that is my view. Another thing you notice again, in, again full swing of election season over the last maybe 3 or 4 days. There's been a lot of very unfavorable press going out
Mm.
towards P2B. So it's like they're raising the armies and different people. But going in, maybe if we're going in a minute, talking about what he's saying, there's this notion that they're trying to push that Peter Obi is is stingy and if you were to come into office, there's a lot of belt tightening that needs to be done and all that. I'm like, but are you not tightening your belt now? Our
Um,
belts have been tightened for us already. As I mean, we're talking about FX earlier. We're talking about through the year, food inflation. What's the price of diesel now? Our belt is
belt
tightened already.
tightening is not something that's related to an individual. We're seeing it all across. We see it's a global phenomenon right now, considering what the years we've just been through and what is happening when it comes to food supply and other supply chain issues as well, just and inflation as well. All the maelstrom of issues that have just decided to pick 2022
Mm-hmm.
as their year
As
to
a yeah,
land.
yeah, people should be allowed to just make their decisions, whether it's the APC candidate, the PDP, or the Labour.
I'm still going to bring
Yeah.
this news out that we touched on earlier in the week about Malawi. How Malawi's finance minister said that Malawi's president is no longer going to be going out of the country for
Mm-hmm.
any old trip. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be really something that he has to be in there for in order to tighten belts,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it's called for sometimes. All right, let's take a look at this one. And Larry from Festac speaking my mind. RT200 sounds like the new version of the Terminator. Mapuza from Surulere says our foreign exchange won't ever be balanced with our politicians controlling dollars for election purposes. How do they come into possession of so much dollars? May God help Nigeria. Whilst Aussie says, have the family of Mary come out to verify that she is who they say she is. Please, oh, all of a sudden, it's so convenient. We are not stupid, says Ozzy. Also saying Wiki would have been a liability, and in my opinion, is erratic. Um, let's see, who else do we have? Tajudeen says on the Chibok girl and terrorist neutralization. How do you expect me to believe the story when all I've heard in the past was never truthful? The government and most of their institutions already lost their integrity in the past 6 to 7 years. Whilst Amoni says, why is Mr. Emefiele still the central bank governor despite being a party member? Vice presidential candidacy search reminded me of what transpired between Senator Tinubu and the late engineer Funshaw Williams, Mrs. Buckner Kirley. Uh, Nadeko leadership and Mr. Femi Pedro between 1998 and 2007. Nigerians have been subdued and intimidated into submission by the government and party in power. I hope the youth and their parents will come out to vote in 2023. And Yinka Bolu says, I hope we're condemning the Reverend Father because of his statements on stinginess and also being seen as taking political sides. I hope we will, in the same manner, condemn him if he makes similar statements about Tinubu or Atiku, or else it's going to amount to double standards. because Mbaka has been making statements and I didn't see us come down hard on him this way. Maybe it's our passion speaking, says Yinka Blue. And Tony from Marine Beach says it's interesting to know that PDP has abandoned the Eastern votes to Obi. We really, hold on one second, has abandoned the Eastern votes. We really need a stingy president, puts in quotation marks now, to come and deliver us from the debts that the lavish ones have put us into. All right, Tony, and more messages, but let's take one last story and then see if we can get in some more messages.
All right, this in from Daily Post. Crisis hits Rivers NLC as security agents seal off Labour House in Port Harcourt. There appears to be crack in the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Rivers State. This follows announcements that Vice Chairman of the State NLC, Emecheta Chukwu, has been appointed as the acting chairman of the union by the State Administrative Council. Very typical. Usually, when you hear factions in Rivers State, you see some men, armed or unarmed, begin to storm the venue. Even during the congresses and party primaries in the state, we saw stories and reports like this. Oh, it happened with the labor union in the state, and it seems like there were clashes at that particular location yesterday. What do you make of this today?
Unionism is well, when you have a number of factors in place, you always find struggles like this, and it's not even, to be honest, it's not unique to us. I mean, to our country, unionism is profitable, and it almost, because it provides rules and guidelines around, not even rules and so it provides for members, protection for an industry, and people working within a particular industry. Obviously, it then makes it attractive. It's almost like the other coin of, I mean, pardon me, it's like the other coin of the mob. If you get what I mean, it's organized labor, and those who administer organized labor are always in a good position. So you find struggles like this, least of all in a country like ours. I mean, just take a coin from it's politics as well. But it's just union politics, and this is how we do politics in Nigeria.
All right, let me take this message up on Twitter from Z-Man, who says it seems that either we, the citizenry, or the people in power exist in some kind of time loop or alternate reality. This going back to what the president said about the security situation, saying security situation improving. Really? This is giving me Twilight Zone vibes. And up on WhatsApp, let's take this last couple of messages. Dilly says, Tunji is a positive for Obi. Whilst Tony from Ikeja says, on Father Mbaka, we also heard that he once told the ex-Enugu State governor that he would die and that he could only serve a second term on the ground, that God didn't call him and he would resign as a priest if he became a governor. Chimaroke Namani served his second term and has remained a senator. So I think Tony's trying to say, well, those words don't really hold that much. And Ken says Wike losing out in the primaries and in being picked as VP to Atiku was a double jeopardy for his nature. However, not picking him puts a serious dent in their chances of taking back the power. He practically won the primaries, but for Tambuwal, unlike Okoa, Wike needs no introduction. Oh, and that is that for Freshly Pressed. And we would like to say thank you to Nyokubi. You can find him across social media platforms at Big Coops. At Big Coops. That's it. Today, thank you. And that's all for Freshly Pressed. Coming up, 8:15, it is the locker room, and we'll be discussing, you know what exactly, sports.
The headlines, the stories, the